Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Anime Show. This is a video I talked about possibly doing in a couple of my Anime Expo videos, and I knew that I did want to do it, but when I was talking about possibly doing it back in my Anime Expo videos, I wasn't entirely sure if I was ready to, what I would say, etc., so on and so forth. But now I feel ready to talk about it, so here we are. Part of this video, the inspiration for, and also part of the reason why I hesitated doing this, was because the recent trailer for Black Butler came out. We didn't get a whole lot of information from it. You know, it is what it is, and I'm not surprised that they're continuing Black Butler, but at the same time, I'm a little bit exasperated. One second. At the same time, I'm a little bit exasperated. Jeez, I had a little bit of a hard time with that word. I wouldn't necessarily say I'm fed up with it, but it's almost like, why do we need to keep this going? Part of that is on me. I feel like I've talked about this in other videos where I need something to, especially when it comes to like anime, TV shows, I need something to be finished before I really decide that I can commit to it, commit to watching it, commit to reading it. And with the books, it's more so for book series. I need something to be finished, completed before I can fully commit to a book series or a TV show or an anime. There have obviously been exceptions for this for me. One of the biggest exceptions that I can think of was Criminal Minds. The whole point of me bringing that back up was the fact that I was into Black Butler for quite some time, well before I started cosplaying and started going to Anime Expo, so maybe like somewhere around 2007 to 2011-ish. Somewhere in that frame, I started getting into Black Butler. I was into it for quite some time, and I was watching it. I didn't read too much of the manga. I think I read a couple volumes. Again, I have that commitment issue of not being able to commit to something, TV shows, book series, etc., if it's not completed. And the reason why that is for me is because I like having the ending, so I can just read the ending, watch the ending, and not go back to it. A large part of that is because I don't really like reliving the endings. I think endings are great. Like, even if the endings are really sweet and really happy, there's a part of my mind with TV shows and longer book series where it's like, I need that ending so I can finish this, as I said, even if it's a happy ending, and then just not return to it. Again, there are some exceptions, but for the most part, I don't reread endings, I don't rewatch endings. And with Black Butler, it was still continuing, which it was another exception for me, but it got to a point for me where I had stopped watching Black Butler. I wasn't really investing in the anime or in the manga themselves. I wasn't investing in the actual thing of Black Butler. I was cosplaying for me, I was hosting the Black Butler gatherings at Anime Expo, but I wasn't actually returning to the manga or the anime of Black Butler. And it will always hold a very special place in my heart, especially Lizzie. Lizzie was my first cosplay, and I wore her my second year to Anime Expo. I also cosplayed Mayrin, and for my very last year of hosting the Black Butler gatherings, the year before COVID, so Anime Expo 2019, I did a Rachel cosplay, Rachel Phantom Hive, and it really felt like a last-ditch effort to hold on to something that I wasn't investing in as much anymore. I made some really fantastic friends because of Black Butler and because of the gatherings and what we connected on. But a large part of it too was Lizzie. As I said, I will always love Lizzie, and she will hold a very special place in my heart for a really long time. But it got to a point where Lizzie almost became my con identity of sorts. And this isn't a bad thing at all. But again, what I've said quite a few times at this point in the video, I would say maybe around 2015, 2016-ish at the latest. If I'm giving it more of a grace period, I would say between 2013 and 2016. Somewhere in that window, I had stopped watching Black Butler. I had stopped engaging with the anime. I would get a couple of little spoilers as to where the anime was going, the manga was going, but I wasn't really getting that from engaging with Black Butler social media, like on Instagram or on Twitter or Facebook or even on TikTok, which at the time was Musical.ly when it first started up. I was getting that from like friends and people who were still watching and engaging with it, but I was not engaging in the Black Butler media, anime, and manga at all. The only way I was engaging with Black Butler was by cosplaying from it 1 to 2 days out of the year at Anime Expo, because I would usually cosplay Lizzie 2 days for a couple of years, and then I started cosplaying Mayrin, so one day would be Lizzie, the other day would be Mayrin, because I was hosting 2 Black Butler meetups per year at Anime Expo when I started, maybe 2016-ish, around that year. As I was saying, like, Lizzie kind of became my con identity, my Anime Expo identity, which, as I said, is not a bad thing, but when you're not engaging with that thing aside outside of just cosplaying from it. And when your only engagement with something is cosplaying from it and you're not watching it, you're not reading the manga, or you're not reading the source material, you're not watching the show, for me at least, it wasn't the best thing. Like, it was a pretty tough decision for me to be like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna cosplay from Black Butler anymore, I'm not gonna host the meetups. It was a pretty tough decision. Like, in the moment, it was pretty easy for me to say, like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. But after that, like, there were quite a few times where I was like looking back, like, okay, maybe I should at least set it up and then let someone else host it. And then I was just like, wait a second. And even my last year from cosplaying from Black Butler, or the second to last year even, my usual outfit for Lizzie was the pink dress, which I'll pull up a picture of right here. The last year I didn't even do the pink dress. I was doing a casual cosplay. In one respect makes sense, because that cosplay got really hot at times, and in other respects it was like, looking back at all this, I can kind of see the signs of where I was like, I was falling out of love with Black Butler. There's a part of me that will forever love Black Butler, more so for nostalgic purposes, and I'm really happy with the time that I enjoyed Black Butler, but it really it really took up a lot of my time when I wasn't engaging with it anymore, outside of, as I said, just cosplaying from it. And even talking about it now, it's like, I don't want to say it's hard talking about this, but it is a little bit bittersweet because of how much I loved Lizzie, and to an extent how much I still do love Lizzie, and how much I loved the fandom, because for the most part it was a really great fandom. It just got to a point for me where I really needed to call it quits. After I did that, like, it was around the same time that I kind of stopped watching Black Butler. Around that time is when I also stopped watching new anime and getting into new anime shows. I was still watching a lot of my comfort anime shows like Cowboy Bebop or School Rumble or Fruits Basket. I was still watching a lot of my comfort shows, but I wasn't watching anything new. Like, every year around Anime Expo, I'd be like, okay, for next year I'm going to start watching anime, I'm going to start watching some new stuff and maybe get some new cosplay ideas, etc., so on and so forth. And then it wouldn't happen. I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this, because when I've said it a couple times or started to say it, it doesn't sound right. I think a large part of why I was hesitating to watch new anime was because I wouldn't necessarily call it a fear. It was because of how emotionally invested I got into Black Butler and how invested I stayed into it, despite, as I've said quite a few times in this video, despite not engaging with Black Butler beyond cosplaying and beyond engaging with the fandom. It almost became like a chore. Not a bad chore, it was a chore that I enjoyed, but it wasn't something that I was enjoying as much anymore. I still enjoyed meeting up with the people who still loved Black Butler, still watched it. I still enjoyed talking to them and making new friends because of it. But I had lost that enjoyment from Black Butler because doing all this stuff related to Black Butler, when I had stopped watching it, took a toll on my mental health. I honestly think that did affect my hesitation for going into new anime and new manga, because it was like, I think there was a small part of my subconscious that was like, you're gonna go in over your head again and you're gonna lose interest after a while, but you're still gonna hold on to it and you're still gonna try to hold on to it. But I think I'm at a point where I have fully accepted like that time period in my life, and you know, it's okay that I was still investing into Black Butler even though I wasn't engaging with it as much anymore. It's okay that I was doing that because I was still connecting with friends. I still had quite a few friends because of Black Butler, so it's okay that I was still doing that, but I made the right decision at the right time to move on. And after Anime Expo this year specifically, I did start watching a couple of new anime, Dragon Ghost House Hunting, and then I started watching a Witch Academy one. I'm blanking on the name of it, but I'll put it up on the screen here. But both of which are really cute, easy to watch, easy to have as background. I am hoping to finish this up hopefully soon. My intention for this video was not to have it be a sob story or like a pity story for me. If you enjoy Black Butler and you still enjoy it, or you're just starting to get into it, I am so happy for you. It makes me happy that people are still enjoying that show and that it's getting a new season. I just won't be able to rewatch it because that's a part of my life that I need to keep the door closed on for a while. If you have any anime recommendations, please leave them down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching this video, and I'll see you all in my next one.